Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Star Rail, and in today's video, we're back in Honkai Star Rail after doing a bunch of Zenless Zone Zero. Again, if you like Honkai or Zenless Zone Zero, make sure to sub to the channel. There's going to be loads more videos on both of those things coming. I thought it'd be fun today to take a look back, especially now I'm playing Zenless Zone Zero and kind of coming to a game as a new player. It's a very different perspective, I think, for me with Honkai, where I joined the game, I think it was about 9 months or so into its release. We're going to go through each of the different banners that has been up with limited characters, talking about which ones I pulled, which ones I skipped, and whether I'm happy I pulled them, whether I regret pulling them, or if they were disappointing, and then are there any banners that I regret skipping? Yeah, so I mean, let's go. Let's dive in. There's some spicy ones in here. So let's start here in February. So this is when I started playing the game. So I guess I'm coming up now on almost 5 months of playing the game. I think we're about 4.5. It was towards the end of this banner when I started. So I did pull on Black Swan. Why did I pull on Black Swan? Well, because I just picked up the game. I was like playing this game on my phone. I was like, yeah, cool. It's a new game. I've got these, whatever, special passes. I guess I'll just pull them and see if I get this character. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they're good. Let's just... we're standing in a very annoying part of the game here, aren't we, in the background? Maybe we should switch over and run away from the dancing things. So yeah, I just pulled her. I didn't know what was happening, but yeah, it was good. And honestly, I think I maybe only got 1 copy of Misha from it. We got a few Gwynaifen and a few Ting Yun copies as well, and those 4 stars are very helpful. We got Black Swan. We won the 50-50 for Black Swan, and that was great. Now, how has she actually turned out on my account? Well, I can tell you that as a newer player, my goodness, she's a very difficult character to build. She needs an absolute ton of effect hit rate, and none of the easily accessible light cones give you effect hit rate. She also needs, obviously, a lot of speed, a lot of attack. So, yeah, it's been tough to get her working. Now, that being said, she has been a very fun character. I think especially she applies the Arcana, and when you build up those Arcana stacks, when it procs and it explodes and does AoE and it spreads Arcana to enemies around it, that is very satisfying. So she's a very fun and satisfying character to play, but she's very difficult to build. Or again, she really wants Pan Cosmic Commercial Express. She really wants Prisoner to ignore defense. Like, she is tough, and she also really needs this Trace maxed out to actually land Arcana and so much of her damage. So she's a very intensive character to build. Absolutely terrible as a first character on account. Absolutely terrible. But look, she was okay when I got her. And we used her sort of as a debuff provider for the free Dr. Ratio that we had. I ran the two together. It worked out okay. But she has been really fun. I do think that she's going to scale well into the future, right? Dot is a big feature in the game. It's actually been a team that's come up. Like, the last Pure Fiction was Dot, and it was kind of a nightmare for a lot of people, I think. From reading your comments, a lot of you guys found it tough. We did max it out, but it wasn't easy. And Black Swan was very helpful, right? Dot is definitely an archetype in the game that has had... I'm pretty sure it's had 0 support since the Black Swan banner. Black Swan banner. I know there was Kafka right before. She's one of my most wanted characters. Been waiting the whole time I've been playing to get her. But there's been no support for Dot since then. It's been really an abandoned archetype, but it still shows up, right, doesn't it? It still shows up. Oh, I guess Acheron ties in a little bit in her own unique way. But Dot constantly shows up, and yeah, Black Swan, I think, is going to be very strong for that for a long time moving forward. So definitely happy I pulled for her, but she was definitely a terrible first banner, right? Compared to some of the other ones. Like, imagine starting during Acheron or something and having her be your first character. Much easier to get value out of her than Black Swan. I obviously skipped Imbibe de Lune because I just started the game, didn't have many tickets at that point. We just about scraped the Black Swan before this ended. There was no real way we were going for Imbibe de Lune. And obviously at the time, right, there was a free Dr. Ratio sitting right there. So we're going, well, do I need an imaginary damage dealer when I've got a free Dr. Ratio I can build up and I can save for different characters in the future? So I decided to skip Don Hung and Imbibe de Lune. Now, I will say, I really like his character. I love his color scheme. I like Don Hung a lot as a character. He's awesome. I like the more, sort of serious characters. He's badass. His animations are sick. I think he's also quite fun to play around, right? Managing your skill points, getting the big attack off. That's pretty cool. In terms of, I don't know if he would be that crazy useful for my account. He would be nice to have, but like I said, would he be that much better. I don't know if he'd make a massive, massive impact for me personally, but he would be fun. I would like to have Don Hung. He'd be really fun, but he seems to me to be, for me, a fairly low priority character. For especially now, we've got like more imaginary damage. Like the new March is going to be imaginary. We've got Aventurine since then, imaginary Trailblazer. There's been tons of imaginary stuff. But yeah, so again, I don't regret skipping it. And if it came back, I'd be a little bit sad about skipping it when he comes back because he is cool. But I don't know. I don't know about Don Hung, I'm afraid. Next, we come to Sparkle and Jing Yuan. I actually pulled and got both of these. And now this is going to shock you guys. Because one of these characters has probably been the most disappointing character on my account. And it's not Jing Yuan. Both of these have been a little bit disappointing in their own way. And both have done some very good things in their own way. But let's touch on Sparkle first. So I got Sparkle first, which is good. We lost her 50-50, but then we pulled her within the next 10 pulls. So it wasn't so bad. That was kind of like winning one. That was actually pretty good. But Sparkle was really, really strong early game. Before that, I had Bronya. And Bronya with Dr. Ratio, not so good. But in particular, right, this is an E0, S0 Bronya at the start of the game. No relics, right? Just a brand new player. So speed tuning Bronya, basically impossible. And she's just eating all the skill points. The team is constantly out of SP. Sparkle comes in, works way better with Dr. Ratio, of course. Skill point friendly. So she was brilliant. Really nice as that nice early support. We actually were able to slap her in with the Ting Yun. We got some Eidolons from the Black Swan banner. And there you go. We had ourselves a nice hyper carry style team, which is great. Now, a bit of a problem with Sparkle, though. A couple of disappointing bits about Sparkle. Number one, again, if we look at all the stuff that has come after, there's been Acheron stuff. There's been follow-up. There's been break. But there has been nothing to synergize with Sparkle. Again, she comes in, for me, she comes in as a hyper carry type unit, but there's been no hyper carry stuff since that. Now, yes, Acheron is there, but it's really E2. Sparkle dominates the end game, especially for Wales, right? Because E2 S1 Acheron, E2 is the only thing that matters for this purpose. But E2 Acheron with Sparkle is crazy good. And of course, E2, or even just Don Hung baseline and Biolune baseline, especially E2, incredibly good with Sparkle. But I'm not a whale, so I do not have an E2 Acheron. It's just not possible. And there's been not much else to really synergize with her. And she's also had a ton of competition in the form of Robin. And now most recently in the form of, it's a bit annoying these are not quite in order, in the form of Ron May. She's had huge competition in terms of support units coming in, these Harmony characters that do fit in to the niches. Like Ron May has come alongside Imaginary Trailblazer and Firefly and Gallagher. We've had Robin alongside Aventurine, the Topaz rerun, etc. Free Dr. Ratio. There's been a lot more support for these other supports than for Sparkle. So that's been a real downside. Now, this is something that might get better in the future, right? That they might come back around to more hyper carry stuff, more units that synergize with Sparkle. But yeah, it's been pretty, again, as a newer player coming in, I think if you were a day one player and you're coming into Sparkle's release and you have Azila, amazing synergy. You've got Don Hung, you've got the Jing Yuan, whatever, right? You've got these older characters, these older hyper carries, and she is perfect for them. It becomes much more exciting. But picking her up as new, at this point as a new player, she's been kind of disappointing, honestly. And yeah, the harmonies that have come after have just been better for my account. Straight up, they've been better. Now we picked up Jing Yuan as well at the same time, because again, we had a nice combo there. Ting Yun, Sparkle, Jing Yuan. It's been a nice core team, and that was a nice core team that carried me through a lot of stuff, and that was really good. Now, unfortunately, it is struggling a bit at the moment. It needs quite high investment to sort of pull out equal, I would say. But I would say Jing Yuan, the main disappointment has been, I think, especially with Acheron coming out, Acheron going in with, the Pela from her own banner, right? And then just a random other Nihility character and really smashing through stuff much more easily than the Jing Yuan did. It's been a little bit rough, and especially because with the Acheron banner, there's been tons of lightning weakness, but there's been a lot of stuff which has been very beneficial to Acheron, but not really to Jing Yuan. That's been rough as well. I think Apocalyptic Shadow, the first edition of that's been a great example where what is there for Jing Yuan on side 1, which is Lightning Week? There's a perk that buffs your ultimate damage. And it's like, that's okay, but it's only part of his damage. Now, that perk that buffs ultimate damage, though, way better for Acheron, right? So that's been definitely a bit disappointing. And again, the sort of multiple harmonies, not so good, whereas the multiple nihilities are better at breaking, so they've been better for now at Apocalyptic Shadow. Now, this stuff might change in the future, but that's definitely been a bit of a disappointment. I do feel like with similar investment, just with how the game modes have been, that Acheron has been better than the Jing Yuan. Now, the thing that is nice about Jing Yuan, let me actually show you my Sparkle as well. Sparkle, part of it, I think Sparkle will get much better when I can actually come in and finish Messenger, and when we can get her to like the 160 speed, etc. Like, that's going to make a bit of a difference. That'll be quite nice for her. So she's got room to grow. Also, something I didn't mention is obviously she's very good with, Quantum, but like Jade is coming out. I don't think Sparkle really works that well with Jade because, again, Sparkle works with hyper carry, but Jade's not a hyper carry. So yeah, we need more DPS in the future, or I need more DPS in the future that synergize well with Sparkle. But yeah, Jing Yuan, the nice thing about Jing Yuan is he is very flexible. That's the big thing. So for instance, I think you're going to see in some of the videos coming up soon, but it's like, oh, this, whatever, like, oh, this MOC is Lightning Week. Oh, well, we'll not put in, if it's not Imaginary Week. Oh, well, let's take Dr. Ratio out of the follow-up team, right, with Ventrine, Robin, and Topaz. We can stick Jing Yuan in there. And he's going to perform pretty well. Like, Topaz buffs Lightning Lord. Robin buffs him to hell. He's great. So he's really flex. Just slot him into that team. Great. Oh, well, you know what? It's Lightning Week and we can break them. Well, we can stick Jing Yuan in with, Imaginary Trailblazer and Ron May, and we can have a break-focused Jing Yuan. Again, is it the best thing ever? No, not really, but it's still decent. It works. So that's what's been nice about Jing Yuan, is the flexibility, which you do not have with Acheron. So I do like that we can stick him into a multitude of different teams, and he's actually performing okay. Again, he's not as insanely strong as Acheron is, but there's a lot more variety, and I do find his gameplay fun. I find, managing Lightning Lord and getting that organized can be quite fun. It is frustrating, though, I will say, again, as a newer player, it was great when I got a Venturine and can put a Venturine with him because he protects him from debuffs, but now a Venturine is usually going with other teams. God, he is a pain. Like, I've been trying to run him with Bailu. Do not try Apocalyptic Shadow with Jing Yuan and Bailu if you want a good time, especially against Cocolia anyway, because it's like, frozen, haha, he's pushed back, and he's out of turn, and Lightning Lord doesn't go off, or worse, imprisoned. Now his speed is down, and he's pushed back in the turn, and he doesn't get a turn for freaking ages, and it's a nightmare. It's absolutely dreadful. I'm hoping he's going to work better now. I'm leveling up Gallagher, and hopefully that's going to work better. But he's very, very vulnerable to crowd control. That's something, again, that gets fixed with the right sustain unit, but again, like, he's fairly high investment, but it is fun as well, being that sort of high investment with so many synergies with different characters and teams. That's been quite enjoyable. I'm hopeful in the future that, because we're getting, Fei Xiao, looks like she's coming, right, who's another general of the Luofu, that we might, and hopefully she's going to have a summon, kind of like Lightning Lord. I mean, we'll see how it works, but there's definitely hope in the future that we could see more summon-based teams, and Jing Yuan might fit in really well to those. So, yeah, I think this character's got a lot of potential. I find him really fun. So, he's been somewhat disappointing in some circumstances. Like, he hasn't ended up being... I was kind of hoping he'd be more equivalent to Acheron, but he really hasn't been. And you may say that's silly, but, part of it has been just the game modes, and that was something I did not understand when I came out, that the game modes really favor the new character. So they redesigned to let the new character show off. But stuff might change in the future. I've actually liked the Jing Yuan. Now we come over to Acheron and Luocha, and I skipped both of these. Acheron, this would be the big one that people will freak out about, especially because I pulled for Jing Yuan instead. I did a whole video on that back in the day, and you can watch that as well. I somewhat, only a little bit regret skipping Acheron. The real reason being just that because she is so powerful, right? And low investment power as well, I would say, right? Just throw her in with 4-star nihilities, the Pela especially, and she can just rip through stuff really, really easily. all the game modes since since she is released have really favored her. She can just crush them. All of the perks, everything has favored lightning weakness everywhere, and the perks favoring her. Um, so it's really been Acheron central since she released back, in March. It's really been Acheron, Acheron, Acheron for months now. She has really dominated. So I regret that side of it. How much easier. Let's get rid of Jing Yuan. He won't stop talking in the background. So I regret that part of it. Just how much easier it would have made things. But at the same time, I don't like her character that much, and I do find her teams somewhat boring. You just put her in with some nihility and you just sort of leave it on auto, and she just keeps firing off the ultimate. There isn't that much thought to it, or I don't know. Like, it's just, there's not a character I love, but there's no question that she is really powerful. Yeah, I don't mind skipping her too much, but I would say objectively, if you really like her and her playstyle, there'd be no question that this is an absolutely amazing band. She's one of the best units in the game that works super well. Like, if you like her, couldn't recommend her more. Just for me, don't really like her that much. So yeah, but I regret not liking her. It's a bummer that I don't like her because she's so insanely good. Luocha, then, I think poor old Luocha has been really screwed over. I think especially with the break meta coming out, like Gallagher, who was on his banner, really, I think, has ended up being a better Luocha for a lot of people. Again, there's just not been any characters really recently that benefit from him or that work well with him. I think Aventurine coming out, who's a better imaginary sustain, and then Gallagher, who's, I think at the moment, because of break and how much damage Gallagher can do, a better sustain. Like, it's actually kind of insane. The poor guy's been screwed over pretty hard. Hopefully there'll be more stuff in the future that makes him have a bit of a comeback, because he's a badass character. I think it's been pretty disappointing. It sort of feels a bit like, Sparkle. Like, it feels sort of disappointing that there's not been anything in the game that caters to him in a long time, which is a bummer. So unfortunately, I don't really regret skipping this one, unfortunately, though he is cool. Next, we come to Aventurine and to Jingliu. I did pull for Aventurine, and there's no question that up until this point, he is without question the best character on my account. Like, this guy, he's just insane. Like, he is so good. So this is one I'm so glad I went for. He is absurdly strong. He has carried multiple endgame modes because of his follow-up synergies, the cool tricks you can do with him, the effect res he provides with his passive. What is it? Passive, one of his traces, but I don't know. The effect resistance, I think it's from his talent, is just so strong. The effect resistance is nuts. He boosts your damage. He's just really strong. Like, Aventurine is crazy good. He's been amazing. Possibly my favorite character. Like, this guy is insane. Like, he is coming into every team. Like, even in pure fiction, sometimes where you're like, I want to drop my sustains, right? Let's try get more damage in. Aventurine is like, yeah, no, he's coming in. He makes it, right? He does so much. He makes it into the team. We're not dropping him for a damage. He's better than that. So Aventurine is just absurdly good, and could not recommend him more. Jingliu, I skipped. I don't really regret this one, honestly. Again, I feel like Jingliu, sort of the aura, I think at the time, like when I joined the game, Jingliu was the best. Like, I remember when I joined and looking at tier list back here, I was like, Jingliu #1. Like, she's insane. No one will ever equal Jingliu. I feel like times have really changed where now we've got Acheron and Firefly, other characters just eclipsing her, eclipsing her, which is a bit of a bummer. So she doesn't have that excitement of being the best anymore. So it's a bit of a fall from grace in that sense, which maybe paints her a bit too negatively. She's obviously, she's a powerful character. There's no question about that. Again, I'm not too big of a... I like... Her character's decent. It's okay. I feel like I'm not too mad. I feel like she's quite similar to Acheron. I'm not too mad on them. Like, the really, ooh, I'm serious and mysterious. Not too mad on that archetype in this game for whatever reason. I normally would love these characters. There's just something about them in Honkai doesn't grab me personally. But yeah. Yeah, but look, her playstyle for me is not that exciting either. It's like speed tuner with Bronya and just leave him on. That's about it. So yeah, I don't know. Again, she's strong, but definitely choosing between her and Aventurine, like Aventurine 10 times out of 10 for me. Prefer everything about him. Everything. Character, lore, gameplay, team build, everything. He's much more fun. Then we come into May, where we had Robin and Topaz. So we actually got both of these. I did have to spend, I think, $30 to buy some Eneric shards to get Topaz. We did whale out a little bit for Topaz. Very, very happy to pick up both of these. They've both been great. Robin has been fantastic. I do think, with Ron May coming back and having them both, Ron May overall is probably better, at least certainly right now, because break is so powerful and super break is so strong, and we're really in the midst of the break meta. Ron May is better overall than Robin, but Robin is fantastic. She came in and is much more useful overall for me so far than Sparkle, but she's very easy to build. She got that free event like Kona S5, which is really strong. She's easy to build. Just slap a bunch of attack on her and just let her go, and she's cool. Very powerful. Her ultimate is really fun to play around as well with the action advance if you do want to play on manual and do some of that stuff. So she's been great. Robin, fantastic. Just straightforward, super effective support. Topaz has been really fun as well. She's definitely more niche, right? The more single target focus, but she is a blast to play with. I absolutely love her technique for overworld exploration. Going around collecting all the treasure chests, trying to scrape together as many stellar jade as possible for Ron May. Made me very glad to have Topaz for doing that. She makes the overworld exploration so much more fun. She is brilliant. Super fantastic. Really fun in combat as well with all the turns that Numby is taking. Yeah, she's a great character. Really, really fun. I think that she's actually really thriving. We've talked about some characters which have been kind of screwed over by not having good stuff for them. Topaz is the exact opposite, coming in with the Venturine, Robin with the free Doctor ratio. Topaz is like, yeah, loving life right now. There's been so much stuff to make me shine in the game. So she's been great. Really, really good. I have her E0, S0. No regrets. Like going into the Topaz banner, I was definitely concerned. E0, S0, Topaz. Is that worth it? A lot of stuff online saying you need E0, S0. Now that I've got her, so you need E1, S1. That's you needed her E1, S1, or it didn't work. I can tell you now, having her E0, S0 works great. She works great. She's fantastic. One of my favorite units. Really, really fun. Then we had Boot Hill and Fushuan. Did not do either of these. Probably not surprised. We got both of these characters. We were flat out of resources coming in to May and to June. Boot Hill, I would have liked to get Boot Hill. He's a badass character. I just had nothing really I had Branya, but that was about it in terms of synergizing with him. Now that has changed since then. I'm building Gallagher. I do have Ron May now, so that has changed. So he's one I would look towards on a rerun because he's super cool. And I think his gameplay is really fun. He's badass. Love Boot Hill. He's super, super cool. But yeah, at the time, skipping him, I think it did make sense. So I'm okay with skipping him. That's fine. Fushuan, I kind of wish I would have Fushuan. That would be nice, to combo with the Jing Yuan. But she's got a lot of like for me, having a Venturine, and now there's Gallagher, and there's the potential for any characters in the future. It feels a bit hard to squeeze that Fushuan in, and that's a bummer. She would synergize well with that Sparkle. There's a bit of Sparkle synergy right there that would be nice on my account, and she has the CC prevention for Jing Yuan. That would be really nice as well. Like, she'd be nice to have, but I don't feel like she'd be a crazy game changer. Like, especially now where I could just like throw in like the Gallagher and just slap stuff around with the break team, like that 4-star doing so much work. She doesn't seem that crazy in comparison. So, yeah, looking back on Fushuan, it'd be nice to have her, but I don't feel any real urgency to get her, is my feeling at the moment. Having one 5-star preservation right now feels good. I'd like to get a 5-star abundance at some point to have the variety there. So yeah, unfortunately with Fushuan, yeah, then we come to the current banners. So Firefly Ron May on right now. So I still could potentially pull some stuff for Firefly. I think we're maybe like 10 or 20 into Mercy. We've got 40 pulls. I think there's probably only be less than a day left on this by the time you see the video. We could pull for Firefly. I don't think I will. I'm not a huge Firefly lover. Again, she is clearly extremely powerful. She's got a fantastic synergy with Gallagher, right? Because she can implant fire weakness and then he goes to town. That's extremely powerful. It's really, really good. So, yeah, it's kind of like Acheron. She's super strong. I just don't love her too much. Again, I think in terms of gameplay, she's pretty straightforward as well. Stick her with Imaginary Trailblazer and preferably Ron May and just use her skill every turn. I guess. Like, that's sort of it. There's not much team building there. There's not much, strategy. It's just stick her in and let her go. And she goes. And she destroys everything. So there's no question she's super powerful. I don't like her character much either. I think she's just boring. Really nice. Really nice. Just bland to me personally. Not a fan. Not a fan. Very disappointed. Like when coming in and like hearing people when I first came to the game, hearing people talk about I was joined during Penacony. Oh, Sam. Yeah, Sam's really cool. Would have been very hyped for Sam, as Sam was at the start of Penacony. Pretty unenthralled by Firefly personally. But she is extremely strong, extremely strong, and super worth it. Now, I would say to go for Ron May first over Firefly for sure, because Ron May is part of Firefly's best team. Sort of Firefly's only really good team, honestly, with Imaginary Trailblazer and Gallagher. Ron May, though, with Imaginary Trailblazer and Gallagher, works with a ton of different teams. A ton of different damage dealers, which is cool. Ron May, I pulled for her. Initially coming into it, I was thinking maybe I wouldn't pull for her, but I did end up going for her. We had to grind up a ton of Stellar Jade to try to get her. Absolutely worth it. Ron May has been amazing. She's definitely up there. Aventurine and Ron May are like just top tier, especially with Imaginary Trailblazer, especially with Gallagher, and that trio is just insanely strong at the moment, and especially for a newer player, because Imaginary Trailblazer and Gallagher, especially being on Ron May's banner, it's so accessible. Like, if you're a new player, this is like the best patch to join. Because if you could get Firefly and Ron May and you pick up some Gallaghers along the way, it's like, but you have an OP team that's set for, you're set for life, basically, is how it feels right now. Even got the Joyeux and the Misha. They could even work pretty well in like a super break team if you wanted. So there's a lot of, it's such an insane duo on these character banners. They're so good. But Ron May has been brilliant. Again, she opens up the break teams. She's just so good in Pure Fiction as well for buffing multiple DPS setups. Clutch for Apocalyptic Shadow, which is very break focused. She can help you break them faster. She's just insane. She's so strong. So yeah, I'm curious how her versus Robin will pan out long term. But right now, I would give the edge to Ron May. I think she's up there as arguably the best character in the game. I think she's insane. So definitely delighted I went for her. I regret thinking that I would maybe not pull for her. That in hindsight, that doesn't make sense with just how much they're focusing on break at the game at the moment, and how much sort of free break stuff they're giving you with Imaginary Trailblazer Gallagher. She's just too powerful to give up, I think. So definitely glad I picked up Ron May, and who knows when she's going to come back. That feels bad for newer players. Like, if you don't get Ron May here, that's rough. That's rough to go without having her. Then we come to the upcoming banners, which are Jade and Argenti. I'm pretty sure I'm going to skip both. I was half considering picking up Jade, but honestly, I came in. We'll do a video on it soon, but I did max out the new Pure Fiction. So then it's kind of like, Pure Fiction has been the first game mode, end game mode, that I've maxed out. We've maxed out the new one for that's it for 41 days, which is the main place really where Jade is good. Now, she might be okay for some Forgotten Hall stuff, but I think there's going to be better characters to pull for. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if Jade ends up like Topaz, which is not that great on her first run, but by the time the rerun comes around, I think rerun Jade could be insanely good. Like, rerun Jade might be crazy. And certainly in the future, I think Erudition characters in general still struggle a bit. I wonder if they could do another mode at some point with more enemies, where your singles are, even your destruction characters struggle a bit more, but the Erudition characters can really start to go crazy. Like, actual AoE damage as opposed to blast really takes over. Because that does happen somewhat with Pure Fiction, but I don't know if it's enough. Whereas like destruction characters have really are good and potentially good in all three game modes, and like Hunt have 2 game modes to really excel in. Poor old Erudition are like, they can be okay even in Apocalypse Shadow, but they're not super great. I don't know. Yeah, I'd definitely be leaning more towards Jade out of the two of these, because I think she's got more interesting stuff she can do with different teams. I've built a lot of follow-up. I really enjoy follow-up, so that works well. Argenti's another one that fits more into a bit more of a hyper carry sort of situation. I feel like he's been in a pretty rough spot as well, where he's come soon after Boot Hill, and then Yoon Lee, who's a physical destruction, is coming right after. So it becomes tough to pull for Argenti as a physical erudition when he's there's a physical destruction right after, which is just more versatile. And people are saying she's like Clara. I think there's a ton of potential for counters. Which, if she's like Clara, she's gonna be about counters, especially looking at Apocalyptic Shadow and like how often you are attacked. Like the bosses are just beating the shit out of you in that mode. Yeah, so counter could be really powerful. That could be another new meta. So it becomes difficult to justify pulling for him when you're so limited. There's so much opportunity cost on these characters. He just doesn't seem super high priority. It's a pity because he's a beast for AoE damage. Be really fun, but I love his character. I think he's hilarious. He's great. Boot Hill plus Argenti quest, best quest in the game right there. That was hilarious. Ultimate duo. But yeah, again, Boot Hill sort of competes with him a bit as well. Like there will be a Boot Hill rerun at some point, and Boot Hill is so strong for break and single target. I don't know. So that's a bit rough. Like I said, Jade would be one I'd be looking towards on a rerun, but I think I probably will skip her. I'm thinking I might grab the Yoon Lee to get like that sort of physical, to have something. If she is like Clara for the... I don't have a Clara, right? That never got Clara. So she could build into that, you know, physical counterattack type stuff, destruction, be the first good destruction unit I've got on my account. That could be quite good. So I'm considering that. And Zhao Chu, I'm thinking I'll probably skip because I'm not an Acheron player, and I've heard that he's there to go with Acheron. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see exactly what ends up happening with them as we move forwards. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the different characters. So for the most part, actually, I've been pretty happy with my decisions. I feel like we put a lot of thought into them, and they've worked out fairly well. Like I think the main one was like Acheron would have been a big help in clearing endgame stuff more easily, for sure. She would have been very effective. There's no question. That's a big one. But apart from that, honestly, been pretty happy with them. For me, looking forwards, definitely some top tier DPS, especially something that go well with the Sparkle would be nice. Just opening up more. That's why I'm kind of looking at Yoon Lee. Maybe she's good with Sparkle. Definitely opens up more elements, more elemental coverage, which would be quite good. And yeah, I definitely need another 5-star sustain. It would be nice at some point. But just sort of, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what flashy characters end up coming out. But I've been pretty happy with the choices so far. Let me know what you guys think. Again, for the reruns, I'm looking towards, definitely the big one for me would be Kafka. It would be really fun to grab, to go with the Dot team. And I just really like her character. She's super cool. She's badass. Like, honestly, Dr. Ratio Kafka, those two together are two of my favorite characters in the game right there. Yeah, there we go. Let me know what you think about it. What do you think of my decisions and how I found it? I've been happy. But yeah, we'll see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. No, oh, also I should mention, as I probably did not mention any light cones, I have not pulled for any light cones yet. I did not mention this, but we lost Sparkle, but then won it shortly after, so that was quite a win. We won Jing Yuan, but it was almost 90 pulls. Then after that, we lost Aventurine, we lost Robin, we lost Topaz, Banners, and we lost Ron May as well. So it's 4. We've lost 4 50-50s back to back. Every last one recently we have lost. So that's made it rough to consider getting any light cones. I definitely feel like our account's in a pretty good spot now, especially with Gallagher coming up and Ron May. Yeah, account feels like it's in a pretty good spot, honestly, now with the characters we've got. And it's become more luxury at this point. But yeah, anyway, there you go. No light cones, sadly. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.